raised in the Lone Star Land, with boots on my feet and dreams in my hand. A little sassy but a whole lot of grace. You'll see that fire when you look in my face. I'm a Texas girl with a heart so wide, family and friends always by my side. From the crack of dawn to the stars at night, I keep it real, keep my soul burning bright. Barbecue smoke, Friday night lights, cheering for the Astros under Texas skies. A little bit stubborn, a whole lot of charm. This big old heart will keep you warm. I'm a Texas girl with a heart so wide, family and friends always by my side. From the crack of dawn to the stars at night, I keep it real, keep my soul burning bright. Barbecue smoke, Friday night lights, cheering for the Astros under Texas skies. A little bit stubborn, a whole lot of charm. This big old heart will keep you warm. I'm a Texas girl with a heart so wide, family and friends always by my side. From the crack of dawn to the stars at night, I keep it real, keep my soul burning bright. From the bluebonnet fields to the city streets, every step I take feels like home to me. With a little sass and a lot of pride, this Texas girl's got nothing to hide. I'm a Texas girl with a heart so wide, family and friends always by my side. From the crack of dawn to the stars at night, I keep it real, keep my soul burning bright. Gummy shoe prints, laid them down the street. Chocolate wrappers hiding secrets sweet. They don't miss a beat, they've got a knack. With licorice ropes pulling answers back. Twist the wrapper to reveal the truth. A sticky web spun by a candy sloop. No sour lies can escape the grip. These lollipops always crack the whip.
Hello, beautiful friends. How are y'all doing today? I sure hope everybody's doing well. Everybody's having a great day. I have missed y'all so much. I want to apologize for being out so long. I had some issues going on with my heart. My heart rate would not get above 50. And so the doctor told me that I had 24 hours to get my heart rate above 50 up into the 60s, or I would be in the hospital. So lots and lots of water, trying to motivate myself to move. I finally got it up to 62. So anyways, it is now so much better, but it has taken me about a week to get it back where it should be. I was dizzy, I was exhausted, and of course, doing nothing but laying around. It's depressing, guys. So anyways, I apologize. I have missed y'all so much. I had to just take time to step away. So I hope y'all understand. I do want to get my channel back up and going. And guys, I want to grow my channel. I want us to expand out. I want us to do missing cases, true crime cases. I want to talk about all the things, not just get centered and focused onto one case only. So I hope y'all are with me. I hope y'all are ready to do this because there are so many missing kids in this world. There are so many that are unalived or just straight up missing and no idea where they went. They need attention just as much as we've given to Sebastian. So if y'all are with me, we're going to branch out a little bit. We're going to continue to push through. Yes, girl, I saw. If you have not seen Silver's little 5-minute clip he did earlier today, please make sure to go watch it. We might play it here in a minute, but definitely, yes, he had found some very peculiar things. And y'all be on the lookout for him. Make sure to sub up to his channel for sure. But I want my channel to be way better than we've ever had it before. And I want to not just get stuck on one case, because with Summer Wells, I started out and did little Summer's case until I was just repeating stuff over and over and over. And then it's like, okay, Sebastian, let me go hop on that train, basically. Started talking about Sebastian, and that's where we're at again. Now, I want to continue to cover those two kids because they deserve it. But there's not any more drive in me to just stay with one single case every single day. So as we move forward, we're going to continue to push for Sebastian. We're going to continue to push for little Summer. And we are going to continue to bring awareness to so many other cases as well. So that's what we're going to do. I hope y'all will follow me along. Guys, 100%. I don't care who wants to say anything about me, who wants to attack or whatever. They can do all they want to. We will ignore it. It's not what we're here for. I don't play well with stupid. I've told y'all that before. I don't play well with those who have no class. And we're a lot classier. So, guys, we're going to move forward with our channel. We're going to avoid all that stupid stuff. It's not what we're here for. We're not in the drama community. We are in true crime, and that's what we're going to do. So I hope you all continue to stay with us as we push through. We're going to do some really interesting, look into some really interesting cases. Before we get too far going here on this, I would like to ask everyone, if you would, to please put our Blue Eyes Jewel at the top of your prayer list. I've had my little bout of heart issue, but she's having some serious heart issues. She is a beautiful, beautiful person inside and out. And we need Prayers lifted up for her. Cece says, I can be a bouncer. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But our blue eyes, she needs us to rally around her with nothing but prayers. If you don't mind, send her good vibes, whatever it is that you would like to do. But she definitely needs us right now. I don't know if she'll be in chat or not. CC, that's what they're kind of waiting on. Um I've had a heart murmur for a while, but they've just kind of overlooked it. But the last time I went to the doctor, he said it was the worst he had heard ever in his career. So it has gotten really rough. Miss Rhonda, I love you. Thank you for keeping a check on me. I appreciate it so, so much. I love you, Miss Rhonda. And I want to say thank you to everyone who reached out, whether it was a text message or whether it was emails, phone calls, whatever it was, checking on me. I appreciate y'all. I really do. Um, because I haven't been feeling well and I've been just struggling with all that's been going on with Sebastian's case and all the things I have really kind of hurt my channel in a way that I'm struggling. I'm going to struggle now. And then that was an added worry on top of everything. Excuse me, everything else. Queen, look at you. I missed y'all so, so much. I really did. Thank you for that. You're so sweet. But we are going to get back into things. I need to grow my channel. I need to be able to basically make money off of my channel. I'm not grifting. This is like a part-time job. And until I can get my disability going, this is my only form of income. And so it's just been weighing heavy on me because this past month I have just let it go by the wayside. And it's just added a little extra stuff to me. So as I had nothing to do but lay around doing pretty much nothing, I decided we're going to make our channel bigger and better. We're going to work hard at this. We're going to do and bypass all the crap going on. And we're going to continue and push forward. So, I haven't seen TJ yet. And I forgot to send her a text to let her know what time I was going live. But, before we get too far in, hello to Queen, our beautiful Queen. Thank you for being here. And hello, Randa. So good to have y'all. YouTuber, we love you. Victoria, thank you for being here. Miss Rhonda. Hey, Charlene. Hey, Teresa. Let's see who else we got here. Great Grandma, too. Hello. Thank you. Let's see. Catfish. Oh, I'm so glad to be back. I have missed y'all so much. I thought about just doing a live laying in bed. And I was like, no, I'm not going to be no good for nothing. Hey, Miss Kathy. Love you. Who else we got up in here? CC, our bouncer. Cece says she'd be a bouncer for us. Um, Anybody else sneaking up in here? Kelly Holcomb, how you doing? Good to have you with us. And let me see here. I don't want to miss anybody. Okay, I think I got everybody. Everybody that's listening in the bushes, thank y'all for being here as well. We love you so much and appreciate you. Make sure to hit that like button, guys. Tomorrow, for sure, we are doing a members live. If you're a member, be on the lookout for that. It'll be at either 6 Central or 7 Central after our 4 o'clock live tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that as well. And what else was I going to say? Trying to get all these things out here. Let's see here. Okay. If you want to be a member and join us tomorrow, we'd love to have you. Got some cool information that is 100% positive for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers in his case. Hello, Carol Loves Embroidery. How you doing? Good to have you with us. Across the bottom of the screen, all the things. There's my email. There is subscribe, like, join the memberships. My Cash App and my Venmo is there, and it is always appreciated whichever way. Hi, Jen K. Well, welcome. Oh, thank you, Jen. We're glad to have you. Welcome, welcome. Everybody, welcome Jen K to our chat. And hello, TJ. Look at Teresa coming and gifting 5 memberships. We got 5 new members to join us tomorrow night. How exciting. Thank you, Teresa. That is amazing. And to our new members, welcome to the South, y'all.
Welcome. Welcome to the South. We break that good stuff out. We got enough to go around. So can I get a right and get down? Welcome to the South.
Welcome, everybody. And please make sure to tell our beautiful Teresa, thank you for that membership because that was so gracious of her. We love you, Teresa, and we're so glad to have you with us and part of our family. What else was I going to say? Oh, yes. Please keep Blue Eyes in your prayer. Our beautiful mod Blue Eyes. She has her health issues. And I would like to ask for special prayers tomorrow for my best friend. I lost my son February 10th of 2020, and it was 6 months later on July the 28th that her husband took his life in front of her. Tomorrow will be that 5th anniversary date for her. Talked to her yesterday. Anxiety is pretty rough with that date coming up. And so, you know, we both, it's crazy because we both had to start a whole different life. And over the 20 some odd years that we have been best friends, it was the first time we are both now on our own, single on our own, taking care of our own selves. And it's a little crazy for both of us. I think we've held each other up along the way. She has her breakdowns. I'm there to talk her through it. I have mine. She talks me through it. So, um, tomorrow's going to be a hard day. It's going to be hard for me as well. He was part of my life. And so that will be tomorrow's going to be a little rough day. I'd appreciate it if y'all would keep her in your prayers. Um, Yesterday, I got to go watch my granddaughter play some softball. My very, very, very favorite thing in the whole wide world to do. And I was going to share with y'all today. She played. Well, her mama was going to have children's church today and teach children's church. And I told my daughter, I said, you just stay there, take her to the ballpark. Y'all play for the playoffs and I'll take over. So I didn't go today. Y'all, look at my girl. She sent me a chat and she said, got hit by the ball. I hope y'all can see this. Here we go. Let's get my camera on. Y'all look. Y'all look at her face when it hit her and her lip busted. It just sprayed her little face with just little droplets everywhere. Bless her heart. That's my girl. Then her mother, oh, but look at this. She was, can you see that ball right there? She had just hit that ball. She was so close to getting it over the fence. Oh my goodness. So, so close. But her mother had taken a picture of her and her little best friend. And let me see if I can find it real quick. Y'all, this is the most precious picture ever. And these two girls have been friends. And it's just the two of them. They were sitting there talking about their next game, what they were going to do, how they're going to do it. I just love that picture. It was yesterday like 90 and it wasn't horrible hot. I'm really kind of glad I didn't go today because today is 97. So it's way hot. It was no wind today. So I'm kind of glad we didn't go today. But, anyways, that's my girl, my softball girl. And so I had a good day yesterday watching her play. And her little lip got busted. Bless her. Okay. Lady for Justice. Hello to you. Looky here. Lady for Justice has been a member for 5 months. She says, hello, Lolly, mods in chat. Good to be back. We're so glad to have you with us today. And I am so glad to be back. Thank you for being part of our family. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Carol. She's my girl. I got 3 granddaughters and I got 1 grandson. And they are all 4 so completely different personalities, just completely different. And we have our little connections and they're all different. It's so fun. My oldest one called to see um where we were going next summer. And I said, baby, what are we talking about? What are you wanting to do? She said, I had to be 12. I was like, oh, she was 4 years old. And for her birthday, we all went to SeaWorld because she loves animals and dolphins were her favorite. And she got to see the dolphin show. She cried when Shamu was put away in his cage and she couldn't go pet him or ride on his back. And so she we checked into it. They had where you can swim with dolphins, but she had to be 12. And so she has not forgot about that, y'all. She has not forgot about it. She told me she has sold her goats over the last couple of years. She will sell another goat before she turns 12. And she said, Lolly, we're going. And so I told her I would sell whatever I had to do to get us there. But she and I are going to swim with dolphins next summer. And the other ones could care less about the swimming with dolphins, but that is mine and her thing. So I want to check into, I believe they have bracelets where you can track a dolphin. Have y'all ever heard of stuff like that? I know you can track the turtles, but I think you can track dolphins as well. And I want to look into that last night. So try to get her one for Christmas, maybe. Okay, guys, I think I have told y'all and kind of got y'all caught up on everything. But I do, more than anything, appreciate each and every one of y'all for being here today. And I appreciate all of y'all wanting to follow me through this journey on YouTube. And like I said, guys, we're going to get moving. We're going to get this channel going here. Hey, Retha, good to have you. Glad you're here. I saw Kelly East a while ago in chat. Welcome, everybody coming in. Thank y'all all for being here. I got to meet some alpacas. Y'all, if I could have a baby alpaca, I would be so excited. They are the cutest little things ever. Today, I want to talk about, or yeah, lots of details been coming out about the Idaho 4 case. And I want to play, and it's there's nothing to see. It was Ashley Banfield podcast that she did, and I'm just going to play it. Y'all can listen to it. It's basic details about the Idaho 4 case that has come out. And Kaylee Gonzalez's father ends up calling her during her podcast at the very beginning or the end. I don't remember which way that is, but there's some interesting things that I was going to talk about. And also, we all know that the day of the court, the families got to do the whole statement impacts. Before Kaylee's mother got up to do her statement impact, guys, I want to show y'all this. It's absolutely horrible. Brian Inton showed this and had talked to her father. This was a text message, and this was only part of what she got. It said, sitting near you in court and watching you is a joke. The next text said, you know that Brian is innocent. Making Brian about getting ARD in prison was very silly. I am in contact with a lot of serial killers, including BTK, and I've been put in contact with a wannabe serial killer who is in Moscow, Idaho, and I have given him your address. Can you imagine sitting in a courtroom with the man who brutally destroyed your daughter's body, unalived her, and completely disfigured her face, and receive this. It's horrible. Could not believe it when I heard about it. But that is only part. The rest of it, they said, gets very gory and very gross and absolutely disgusting. I couldn't imagine what everybody's going through in that, the whole family. Hey, PJ, how you doing? But to be a mother sitting there listening to this man, or listening to people talking to this man, and then it's almost your turn to get up there and say what you have to say. It's horrible. People are disgusting. But like I said, Ashley Banfield did a podcast, and I like the way she did it, because she took and she did a basic overview of all the things that we've been hearing. Karen Reed killed those kids. Okay. I want to see this. Brian is innocent. So how did his fingerprint get on that sheath? How did his DNA get left on that sheath that was underneath one of the girls? I did not follow the Karen Reed case. I can't explain that one. So I don't know about the Karen Reed case. I did not follow it. I do know people think that she was innocent. Some thought she was guilty. I've heard lots of different on that one. So as far as Brian Kohlberger goes, I believe if a man either had nothing at all to do with the crime that he was being charged with, if he only had knowledge of it but didn't participate, had no knowledge of it at all, there is no way in hell that man would have took 4 life sentences plus burglary charges without the chance to appeal. If he was going to make a plea deal, he would have pleaded for the charges to be life in prison and avoid the firing squad. But no way is someone going to accept charges being innocent without the chance to appeal it. And to me, when there was no chance of appeal and he accepted that deal, then we knew he was guilty. Did he have an accomplice? I question and I wonder sometimes about it, but I have my thoughts and my theories that this is a man who didn't have many friends. So no, I don't think he had anyone else with him there that day. I do think his father was told exactly what happened, and I believe his father is quite precarious himself, and I do think that possibly his father, and this is my opinion, but I do think his father possibly knew and helped him with the afterthought of, okay, get another knife to replace it so that way they ask for it, you got it. Here's my knife. Two weapons. I believe that it was a knife only. This is an opinion of mine, guys. But I do believe the butt, which is the end part of the knife, not the cutting part, but the handle part and the end of the knife. The butt of the knife, I believe, is what he used on Kaylee's face. Lori Daybell, Lord, she is a character. Did y'all hear her sit in court, give her opening statement about how horrible and how unjust the system is to people concerning people who have committed crimes and how bad the jails are in prison? Well, you shouldn't have killed or had part of or conspired to kill or any of the above your two children. She's a nutcase, y'all. She's a nutcase. And knowing your two babies are in a fire pit in the back of your boyfriend's home, and you go to Hawaii and marry him? Now you deserve every bit of rotten hell that you're living in. Sorry, folks, but that's my opinion on it. Yes. Yes, Lady for Justice. She's disgusting. Yes. She turned around and smiled at that old boy. Ugh. She does belong there, Retha. I think she does. Ugh. But, anyways, we're going to listen to this with Ashley Banfield. And I was trying to get everything ready to go real quick, and I have not linked her channel. But this is a podcast that she does, and I will definitely get the link and put it in the description part of this video. Okay, guys, so you can have it to go to. And if you haven't subscribed to her, make sure you do, because you hear lots of interesting things. So let's see if I can get this to play through our big speaker.
I mean, all that stuff. Well, for one, he said, give it to us first, and they did.
Okay, this is Kaylee's dad. He called her, and guys, he was sitting at the bar that Kaylee and Maddie had gone to just a couple hours before they were unalived.
And you guys got it before we did, just like you and I got the murders before we did.
Which stuff? Wait, which stuff? Because we got all the material after your 3-hour meeting, I think.
Yeah, but the 3-hour meeting was just a question and answer. We just got there and talked to them. There was no documents handed over to us.
Okay.
And we don't know. How do you ask for something?
My goodness. They got the documents. All the papers that have been ungagged, per se. They got it at the same time we did. They've been following so many different people and listening to so much about their children and their murders. details about their own child at the time that everybody learned about it. It's horrible. I feel bad for the parents.
And you don't know exists.
Hey everybody, I'm Ashley Banfield and this is Drop Dead Serious. I have a bit of a weird episode for you today. If you're watching on YouTube, you're probably going to see me going through a lot of these documents. And if you're listening on the podcast, basically I am learning alongside you all the documents that have been dropped by the Moscow police, the FBI, and by the investigative bodies that looked into the murders at 1122 King Road. 2.5 years ago, when 4 kids lost their lives to Brian Koberger, the maniacal murderer who has just been sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms in the state penitentiary in Idaho. So I just wanted to get a lot of this information out to you. This is going to be a little bit rough. It's not a super polished podcast, so I apologize for that. But
Thank you,
bear
TJ.
with me as I get going through a lot of this.
TJ's just dropped her link to the Drop the podcast that she does. So make sure to sub up to her. Here we go. Let's listen.
Material. I think what's happened here as they start to release information after lifting the gag order is that we're not only going to have some questions answered,
Thank you,
but I think we're going to
Rita.
have a lot more questions asked. I have to be honest with you. One of the biggest things for me was that they had to admit that they don't know the connection between Brian Koberger and these kids. I thought we would get it. I thought that their investigative product would show, oh, he stalked them, or he was, passed over at a party by them, or somebody blocked him on Instagram, or he was jealous of them, or he had a crush on one of them, or he was targeting one of them. And no, none of that has proven to be fact. But this is really shocking because there just seems to be no connection that the police could make. They had to admit, as they begin to drop these documents after 2.5 years of a gag.
Okay, is that too fast? I need to speed it up, but I was trying not to get it too fast because she already talks rather fast. So let me see if I can take it down just a tad. Let's go about right here. See if this will be okay for you. Rhonda says no. Okay, good deal. Good deal. Good. Glad y'all subbed up to her because she does such a good job on the overview. This is an overview. It's not all the tiny details as far as this cop and that cop and this person and that person. And, reading the whole complete document, she takes the most important pieces out of those documents to tell us. A lot of it is mundane as far as the officers. This one's only there to take names of who entered, those kind of things like that. But we get very specific details, and we're going to talk about them through this. Here we go.
Order, which has left us all in the dark about their investigative work, their prosecutorial plans, whatever they were going to go to trial with that we would learn over the course of 3 to 4 months. It's starting to drib and drab out now. And it will drib and drab out for months, possibly up to 4 months, as they go over every one of these 250 some odd motions that were filed.
Lady Justice, thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate you so, so much. Here's a happy day. Thank you, Lady Justice. We love you.
Your seal, and each one has to be looked at meticulously and redacted for personal information and names and dignity of the dead, etc. So, okay, the first dump of information kind of came out in an avalanche on the heels of the sentencing yesterday, in which we heard just devastating material, right? We just heard devastating reaction from these families in their victims' impact statements. And then afterwards, the families, some of them came out onto the courthouse steps and talked about even more material. And then a press conference with police and prosecutors in which we learned
we do, Lady Justice.
They don't know
we
why
do.
he picked this house. They know he targeted the house. They know the house was a plan. And I think that's only because he was there dozens of times, scoping it out, lurking in the shadows, driving around it, maybe even hanging out in the woods behind and watching these kids. But they don't know why.
I agree with that statement she made. I think this horrible soulless person that did these things to these children, someone's babies, I think he watched them, guys, and she's going to talk a little bit more about it, but I do believe that he knew a lot more about them than what we have heard. Cece, thank you so much for that. You are so sweet and precious. Thank you for that. I appreciate you, and thank you for being with us today and each day. We love having you here. So here we go. Let's listen some more.
They don't know why he targeted the house. And even more troubling, they don't know who he targeted, if anybody. Many people have thought he targeted Maddie. Many people thought he targeted Kaylee. And a lot of that came because of an online account called Papa Roger that had an icon that looked a lot like Koberger, that seemed to know a lot about the killings before any of the material became public. The information wasn't released publicly about a knife sheath being left behind. And yet Papa Roger knew, like just a couple weeks after the killings, he knew about where.
Y'all remember we talked about Papa Rogers, one of our last videos we did. Oh, it's okay. Thank you for that. You're good. Thank you, Cece. But we talked about the Papa Rogers, and there is a video. You can go to my page if you haven't seen it yet. It's about the Idaho 4 and the horrible man that he was. This Papa Rogers seemed to know things and mentioned the sheath that was left behind before it was ever released. They cannot find on any of his stuff where there is a link to him being Papa Rogers. If it is not him, I would have to say it would be his father. But I almost 100% believe it was Brian Koberger, and he knew what he was doing when he scrubbed all of his electronics. Retha, you are so sweet. She says Lolly deserves 100,000 sub count. Aww. Retha, you're so sweet. Thank you. We'll get there. We're gonna grow. We're gonna push, and we're gonna keep going, and we are going to grow. I don't know, Retha, but there was details that he brought out. Now, the father, that's my opinion, because I've seen things with his father, and I've looked into his father just a little bit. I think his father was quite a bit like his son. They had a friendship, because I don't think they had a lot of other friends just because of their personality types. Here we go. Let's listen to some more.
Or the car might have driven up beside the house where the killer may have gained access into the house. It turned out to be true. And maybe more troubling, Papa Roger disappeared on December 30th, 2022, which was exactly the date that he was arrested. Koberger was arrested. So we all thought that Koberger certainly was likely Papa Roger. And the police said, no, we can't make that connection. We do not think that is true. I will give you this caveat, and I think a lot of you feel the same way I do. Brian Koberger was masterful at wiping his device. The cops admitted it yesterday that he used sophisticated software to wipe his electronic footprint from a lot of his devices. And so maybe he did that. Maybe he yammered on about being Papa Roger, and somehow before December 30th, his arrest, he wiped clean a lot of his devices from being Papa Roger. It's questionable though, right? Because I think he was enjoying this after effect. He was enjoying being this secretive guy online who seemed to know more than anyone else. And so why would he think suddenly he was going to be arrested on the 30th? Unless he thought that the heat was on. They had a white Elantra. They were looking for a white Elantra. And suddenly he's getting the hell out of Pullman, Washington, and driving all the way across the United States back to his parents' house in Pennsylvania with his white Elantra. Maybe he thought the heat was getting a little too hot and started wiping his devices and wiped his Papa Roger. It's just a theory. It's no fact, but the police said, we don't think he's Papa Roger. So all of those theories everyone had about who he was targeting.
Okay, now the Papa Rogers thing, the cop can find no evidence, so they cannot say that Kohlberger was Papa Rogers. But we're going to learn here in just a minute how he scrubbed so many of his electronic devices that even the FBI could not find anything. This guy's smart. He was highly intelligent. And I think if the FBI continued to push through, they would find a lot more. Yes, he couldn't wipe his clout and his social media stuff. Exactly. But I think, if he had an account that, he created maybe on a work computer or something, who knows? This guy is very diabolical in his thinking. Brianna, how you doing, sweet friend? Good to have you.
And why he might have been targeting. None of it turned out to be true. Not yet, anyway. And we still have a lot more material that's about to be released. So I'm going to fumble my way through a lot of these documents right now and sort of get you as much of the story as I can. As we learned from just like very fast reading, we got autopsy results, which are just devastating. I'll tell you this. Kaylee was stabbed more than 30 times, and Xana was stabbed more than 50 times. It's worse than I thought. It's worse than all of us thought.
Me and you, hello.
He was in a frenzy in that house. He was in an absolute frenzy. And granted, maybe he was fighting people who were fighting for their lives and continued to stab, in that frenzy. I don't know if he planned that kind of carnage, but it was absolutely unbelievable. We've got neighbor reports and something odd. They thought they heard something like a firework going off. One of the roommates, even Bethany, heard a firework going off that night, right around 4 o'clock in the morning. So,
okay, a firework going off. That was a new thing. I had never heard that. And I've been following this case pretty close for a long, long time. And never once have I heard the words of a flashbang kind of thing, where she thought she saw like a flash of something, heard like a firecracker type sound go off. So could there have been a gun? Possibly. But police never found it. But let's keep listening.
That's sort of fascinating information. Friends and roommates described doors being left open well before the murders. Their doors at 1122 King Road mysteriously being open. Some of them possibly being unlocked the night of the murders. Before the murders, strange men, maybe one following Kaylee out. We had heard she thought she had a stalker. We did hear the police, cleared the man who said, I followed her out. I wanted to ask her out, but I chickened out. He didn't turn out to be part of this. But something in these new documents did tell us that the kids themselves were worried about a man they thought they saw around the house lurking in the woods behind the house, out in front, and that Murphy, Kaylee's dog, would run to those woods and wouldn't come back when called. And that was unusual behavior for Murphy. And they got creeped out. One thought they even saw a man back there in the woods, and they came inside. So this all happening well before the murders, in the weeks before the murders, is very, very telling and informative that that was Brian Kohlberger out there in the woods behind the house watching them, parked. And
could you imagine knowing that your friend was talking about her dog going into the woods? She thought she saw someone in the woods. Her dog didn't come when she called him, and that was very unlike her dog. And guys, this is why I say I believe Brian Kohlberger was sitting out in those woods behind their home, watching their movements, watching what they do, what their regular was. And in my opinion only, I believe he took that opportunity to let the dog get used to him, so that when he entered that home, that dog did not go crazy. That's my opinion. And it does sound like someone was back there and that dog was interacting with someone. Hello, me and you. Hello, hello. Hi, Cecilia. Good to have everybody coming in. Thank y'all for being here. Now, I'm just giving you my opinions as we go through this, and my opinions are not proven facts. Okay, guys?
Out there watching them, either watching them as they were outside enjoying their time with all their friends because they kind of all hung out behind the house in those couches, or watching them through their windows because the back of the house looked right into Maddie's and Kaylee's third floor window. So we're learning a lot more about that as well. All right, so let me tell you about the responding officers and how they describe the crime scene. And I will give you a trigger warning. I will give you all the warnings in advance that I normally do. If you're squeamish, if you are upset by these things, now is your time to just turn the volume down and maybe move on. And I hate saying that because I love having you here, but this stuff is really uncomfortable to hear.
Thank
What
you,
they said about
Rita.
Xana
Love
Kernodle's
you.
room, the officer found blood smeared across items all over the room and the floor. There was cast-off blood, better known as spatter, right? Cast-off blood was found on the walls and even above Xana's body. Xana was found on her back. She was wearing presumably what she had gone to bed in. This sounds totally like a college kid going to bed. A long sleeve gray shirt and just her all soaked in blood. Her face and her body were covered in dry blood because remember, she died between 4 and 4:20 in the morning, and the 911 call didn't come in until 8 hours later. And so, yeah, a lot of that blood had had time to dry. The officers observed on Xana what appeared to be a defensive set of knife wounds, including a deep gash between her thumb and her index finger on her left hand, almost as though she'd be grabbing at the knife, and the knife would have come in between her thumb and index finger and gashed her. Then in Kaylee and Maddie's room, it was really Maddie's room, but Kaylee and Maddie were both sleeping in the bed in Maddie's room because Kaylee had moved out. She'd already moved out. She graduated and she was in the process of packing that whole room up of hers. She'd come back that weekend to show her roommates her new car. She was so excited about her new SUV. And so understandably, she was sleeping in her roommate's bed because hers was probably all just packed up in a mattress, right? So in Maddie's room where they found Kaylee and Maddie's dead bodies, both of them were covered in a blood-soaked pink blanket. There was a large pool of blood near Kaylee's midsection. Madison was lying up against Kaylee. She had visible wounds on her forearm and on her hands, and she had a gash under her right eye that extended from the outside of her eye to her nose. Kaylee was described as unrecognizable. Her facial structure was extremely damaged. The third floor officer summarized this way. Both females appeared to be stabbed to death upon arriving on the scene. One victim's face was described as completely disfigured and stabbed multiple times. That's Kaylee. The officer couldn't even comprehend the injuries. He said he could not process what he was looking at. The comforter was soaked in blood and a pool of blood remained there. I will also say this with the other information we've learned from Steve Gonzalez, because he met with detectives for 3 hours before all these documents were dumped out publicly. Thank God the parents got to talk with detectives before this all became public, in the media.
Could you imagine hearing and reading the document that says the officer that walked into your daughter's room, the room where your daughter had been unalived, and could not figure out exactly what he was looking at because her face had been so destroyed? Yes, and Lady for Justice, we're going to talk, she'll talk about that here in just a minute, and we'll learn why we saw that blood seep through and drip on the outside of the house. And unfortunately, that came from Ethan, it sounds like.
But Steve Gonzalez said Kaylee's nose was broken. Kaylee looked as though she'd been gagged because she had injuries on either side of her mouth, whether it was a hand or whether it was something else. And Steve and the police seemed to think that there was some other object, some other weapon that was used on Kaylee that they cannot figure out. They cannot determine what it was. Like, what did he have with him that he used, on Kaylee? Yes, she'd been stabbed over 30 times, but there was some other blunt impact that she suffered. And they were interesting the way they said it in the press conference. They said they are only looking for a K-bar knife as the murder weapon, but ask the families. And then when we talked to Shannon Gray, who is the attorney for the Gonzalez family, he said, I'm going to leave that for Steve to get more detailed about, but yes, there is another weapon, and they're confounded by it. I'm not sure why they wouldn't talk about it in the press conference, the police and the investigators, but they didn't. All right, let me tell you about what was found outside the home by the investigators. They said that they tracked footprints. Now, I don't know what they tracked the footprints in. Were these footprints in blood? Were these just footprints? I can't imagine how you would determine footprints in a heavily trafficked doorway, but maybe it was in blood and they just didn't say so. But the footprints were leading away from the rear slider door of the kitchen and circling a tree stump in the heading back towards the front of the house. I don't think those are of evidentiary value to this killing. Again, my theory only, but I think Brian Koberger got the hell out of there and got to his car and got out because the timeline.
But was he going out around that tree to retrieve the dog possibly and bring that dog back in and put it upstairs in that room? That's a thought I have.
Very tight. He's out of that house at 4:20 and he's seen, already heading back into Pullman, Washington, taking that circuitous loop, right? And I don't think he spent a lot of time messing around outside the house. I think he had just killed 4 people and got the hell out of there. And remember, he drove like a bat out of hell.
Brianna.
That white Elantra was seen screaming out of there at 4:20 and was almost like, he said, almost lost control of the car as he was pulling out of King and Queen Road. So my personal feeling is I don't think he was lurking around the house after these murders much. I think he realized what he'd done and needed to get out. Then they said they saw small handprints observed on a nearby window with a damaged screen on the ground. If you're looking at the back of the house, you can see the slider is on the left and there were some windows on the right and you could see investigators dusting for prints during the investigation 2.5 years ago. And you could see, I think one of the screens was down on the ground back then. That might be what they're referring to. It may have nothing to do with this. Small handprints may have been from previous ends or whatever, but that's what they put in their investigative documents. They said that they saw smudged fingerprints on the slider glass door. Don't know if they're Koberger's, but they didn't seem to say, we found Brian Koberger's prints. Don't forget he was wearing gloves, right? But again, in your investigative documents, you put everything. They said they found a discarded black backpack.
Now, his gloves would have had to have had major blood on them. So smeared handprints with the glove would make sense because he would have to open and close that door. He probably touched it and slid it with his hand, shut or whatever, but wasn't worried because it was just gloves. No prints, no flakes or anything from his hand to leave DNA. So it could have been him.
Located in the backyard. Again, we have not heard about anything regarding a black backpack that had anything connected to Koberger on it. Otherwise, that would have been big.
CC.
That would have been a smoking gun. So it might have been just some other students cast out black backpack, maybe one of their own from the house. We don't know. This stuff's interesting. This is jailhouse information because the prosecutors and the police wanted to know what fellow inmates of Brian Koberger had to say about him. He had been held in custody without bail for 2.5 years. So he had plenty of inmates, right? They come in and out of those jails. Some of them come in for a night. Some of them come in for a couple of weeks. Some come in for a couple of months. They can't afford bail. But presumably over 2.5 years and 2 jail facilities, the Latah County Jailhouse and the Ada County Jailhouse when he was moved up to Boise, presumably he had a fair few fellow inmates that spent some time in the same facility as he did. So they interviewed some of them and they got some work product out of that. Let me share that with you. One inmate called Brian Koberger, and I quote the investigators, a fucking weirdo. That's what he said. By the way, if you can hear somebody gasping off camera, it's my mom. She's here with me. She's like watching the podcast. And so every so often you can hear her gasp. You have to keep it a little quiet. It's okay. It's fine. It's okay. She said, oh, my stars. It's okay. You're totally allowed. And you might hear her Manhattan being put down on the table beside her too, because I poured her a stiff one for this one. Okay. The inmate said this to the investigators. If it weren't for legal consequences, I would have assaulted him. I think they used different words, but the investigator wrote that the inmate said if it weren't for what might happen to him, he would have beat him up. When asked if he thought Koberger was guilty of those quadruple murders, the inmate said, quote, his eyes tell a story. This is Brian Koberger. We have all commented about the awful ghost-like, creepy-like stare that Brian Koberger has. Look, as a longtime reporter and crime reporter, I'm going to just weigh in a little here. Yeah. Once you know he's a quadruple maniacal murderer, butcher, yeah. His stare is creepy and horrifying and hollow and add every adjective you want. Now take him out of that. And he's the guy that rides the bus with you and he's totally normal. You might just say, it's not very handsome, but nice guy.
I don't know what's happening here.
Descriptive details to someone once you know what they're capable of and who they are. And so I've always had a tough time. I thought they had him dead to rights when they got him because of the connections, because of the DNA on the knife sheath. I mean, please, you have zero connection to these kids and your DNA is on the knife sheath that was left behind at the murder scene. Game over. It's you. Is there a chance somebody was trying to frame you? Okay, sure. Pretty, again, reasonable? not reasonable. Is that reasonable doubt? No, it's not reasonable doubt, especially when you connect his Elantra, his white car, seen in the neighborhood going round and round that night, and when you see his cell phone pinging for months and months beforehand, making over a dozen visits to scope out this house and these kids. So yeah, no longer reasonable that somebody else's DNA was placed on the knife sheath. And
okay, I'm going to stop right here. This is super great question because Cece says the only thing I would have questioned was no blood evidence in his vehicle in any way. That was brutal and blood-filled. I've thought about this a ton of times. And when I watched that documentary on Amazon Prime, and his classmate would have said something about him being, protected himself as far as going into that home with booties and gloves and a hairnet and a hoodie on, kind of thing. Did he protect his car as well? Did he have his seat lined out, his gas pedal, every inch of that car lined out with like saran wrap or something? I don't know. But this man, I honestly think, has planned this and planned it so perfect. If that knife sheath would not have been found, I don't think they could have ever pinned it on him. So I wonder if it could be something like that. Did he have his seats covered? Did he have an extra pair of gloves to take off his gloves to touch the steering wheel, or another pair of gloves to put on while he was driving? What? But also, in just a minute, we're going to hear something that was very surprising to me. She talks about someone that was driving that night that saw a man from the early morning hours walking away from the river. So I don't think he would have had all of that on the whole entire drive home. So just something to think about. Let's listen some more.
Planted it there and killed those kids and, pointed. No, not reasonable. So I thought they had him dead to rights. And so I looked at his gaze as the gaze of a freak. But you always have to take yourself out of that. If you're going to be really fair and unbiased when you're assessing someone who's innocent until proven guilty, I know a lot of people who have weird stares and they're normal people. But now I look at his stare and I know he's just not one of the flock. He's not. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. So another inmate was also interviewed by investigators. That person apparently was housed in the cell next to Koberger between August and September of 2024. A couple months. Okay, it's enough to sort of get to know somebody who's your next door cellmate. This is how he described him to the police. He said he was the smartest person he'd met in jail, but also obsessive. I'm just going to say something here. Jails are not filled with a lot of smart people, It's not often you get a mastermind of, criminology with a working on a PhD in a jail cell. So yeah, okay. King of the Fools isn't that big a deal. So yeah, I guess he was the smartest one in there. He's not the smartest one in my business, that's for sure. I'm gonna tell you right now, the way those families spoke to him in their victims' impact statements yesterday, saying, "You're an idiot. We had you minutes after you left that crime. PhD, you're a joke." That's what Steve Gonsalves said to him in that courtroom. Steve Gonsalves was so right. Brian Koberger thought he was smarter than everybody else. He acted smarter than everybody else. And yeah, you're smarter than a couple of inmates at the Latah jail. There's rarely more than a dozen of them there. So good for you. Small pool, silly, dumb fish. But that's what this inmate said. Smartest guy.
Smart guy. Folks, if I'm going to be 100% honest right here, I'm going to have to give it to Brian Koberger for being highly, highly intelligent. To have the degrees that he has. To have the mind that he has. Highly, very highly intelligent person. Yes. But 90% of the time, you're going to have those highly intelligent people that do not have any common sense to them whatsoever. And I do not think he had any social skills at all. And I think he overly boasted himself because he wasn't nobody is going to pull off a crime that is so perfect, because there are bodies that are either missing or bodies that are found that will have evidence to them or something. And he slipped up and he left the sheath. Yeah, Lady for Justice, that's what I think. I think he had to have had something. Yes. Yeah, Cece, I agree with you on that one. People's IQ go way down while committing crimes. Yeah. Oh, Randa, wait a minute. You hold on a little bit, because we're going to hear her talk about this in just a minute. And when she talks about this lady seeing a man that looked an awful lot like Kohlberger walking away from away from the river to a car that looked just like his, I think all of the stuff he had ended up in that Snake River, the river that divides that area there. Let's listen.
He'd seen in jail. And then he said this about him. He was obsessive. He said he washed his hands dozens of times per day, and that he took 45 minutes to an hour in the shower each time. This one's creepy. He was awake all night. Does that give you the shivers? This inmate is awake all night in the county jail, and he napped just a little bit during the day. So clearly he's got something going on upstairs that won't let him sleep much. Wake all night, short naps during the day. That's it. The inmate said he could hear him moving around constantly. All right, now back to the scene. This is difficult because we've heard some of the accounts of the kids that came to the house that morning and made the horrific discovery of Xana and Ethan dead, but not Maddie and Kaylee on the third floor dead. So here is what a roommate's friend identified in the documents only as.
Okay, guys, we're fixing to get into some very serious trigger warning information here. And before we start this, I want to say that the friend of theirs that came, Hunter is his name, Hunter Jackson. I watched that Amazon Prime document, and that guy sacrificed his mind and his eyesight and everything and protected the roommates, the girls' friends, from having to go in and see what he saw. I'm afraid that will affect him for the rest of his life. Hey, Heather. Hi, Cinderella. Yes, you got a membership. Yay. Tomorrow night, just a reminder for everybody, tomorrow night, 6 Central or 7 Central. I have to wait and see about our special guest. But we'll be doing a members live tomorrow. And it's some important information that will hopefully help push Sebastian's case along a little bit. So you'll want to come and hear that. Lady for Justice said, Lolly, autistic individuals do have trouble with their sleep patterns. Yes. My son that passed away, he was highly, highly intelligent. And his mind would not stop. He would tell me, Mom, I can't go to sleep. I can't. And this was when he was young. He was 3 and 4 years old and having a hard time sleeping at night, going to sleep. His mind raced all the time. He always had something, a project he would want to work on, or a song he was wanting to learn how to play on the guitar. And his mind would not slow down and stop. And when it finally slowed down and stopped, he just was crashed out for hours. But yes, there are people who cannot stop their mind, unfortunately. But like I said, guys, trigger for this part, because if you could just imagine what was going through these kids' mind. And I know a lot of people have questioned the 2 remaining roommates that were not harmed. I've had a hard time with that one as well. Just to be honest with you guys, you know, how is it that they didn't get touched? But how is it they didn't call it in till noon the next day? You got to remember, these are college kids. These are college kids that had been out partying. One of the girls had a toothache. She was checking with her dad and, you know, all the things, but they're college kids. People come in and out all the time. They heard noises. They were used to that. They're in a house that their friends had friends. And although it's hard for us to understand, because in our mind, we know what happened, we know the timeline, but to have to live through it and they did not know or have any idea. I just wonder if it was nothing unusual, and so therefore they kind of brushed it off. It really, yes, Lady for Justice, yes. That was my son too.
H. But I think that we can surmise at this point that it is Hunter Johnson. And that's Ethan's best friend and fraternity
Hunter
buddy.
Johnson.
Because Hunter Johnson has already said that he was the one that went in and he made the discovery and got the girls out of there, saying, back out, everybody, out, 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 call the police. Before
God
they
love him.
saw what he saw.
Man.
So H, presumably Hunter Johnson, said he walked straight up the stairs and into Xana's room. So the door was open. The door was partially open, he says. And when he opened it, he saw Xana and Ethan. Okay. At first, he thought the room was just messy. This makes sense, right? College kids, morning after. He thinks that that the room is messy and that they've had a big bender the night before. You know, that makes sense, actually. I get it. Then he didn't realize that the blood was dried. After standing there for a few moments, he said he began to understand what he was looking at. He said 2 others, B and D. I think we all know that's Bethany and Dylan, right? 2 roommates were crying uncontrollably. He told them to get out of the house and call the police. I've been trying to put myself in their shoes. They don't know that these kids are stabbed to death. But Bethany and Dylan are crying uncontrollably because maybe they just think they're passed out and OD'd. That's the worst thing you could imagine had happened in the house the night before. Not that some Charles Manson-like killer had come through and slashed all your roommates to death. That does not enter the picture, right? That's not what you're thinking as a college kid. You're thinking, we had a big fun night out last night. Everybody was drunk when we got home. Oh my God, these 2 aren't waking up. And one of them's on the floor. Maybe they've OD'd, and they're now Bethany and Dylan are freaking out that they might be OD'd, but maybe not even dead. Just it's awful to think that they've OD'd. Okay, that's my thought again, just my thought. So let me take you to the prior concerns that the kids had about a stalker. There's somebody identified here as Jay, a friend of the kids named Jay, the letter J, and I'm wondering if it's Josie Lauterin, who's been interviewed in documentaries as being very knowledgeable about everything that happened with these kids. I'm not sure if it's Josie or not, so I will just refer to this person as Jay. Jay shared with the police that Kaylee once saw a dark figure watching her from the tree line while walking her dog Murphy outside of 1122 King Road. This happened 1 month before the murders. My God. Jay said that the roommates had previously made lighthearted jokes about Kaylee having a stalker, but deep down, they were actually nervous because they thought it might be real. Jay said there were no known social media issues. This is fascinating. We thought that the investigation would prove, oh my God, they were being stalked by this guy on social media. They had to block him. We thought that might happen. Nope. Apparently no known social media issues at all. Did he follow them? Did he watch them on social media? Maybe. We don't know. Because he scrubbed all his electronics. He wiped everything clean, so we don't know. And the investigators said they don't know either. Jay also added that the front door of 1122 King Road had locking issues. Oof. Sometimes it could be opened without the code. Jay was not sure if the sliding glass door in the back was regularly locked. Well, if they're anything like me as a college kid, we didn't lock our door. We just didn't. And in this town, it's Moscow, Idaho. People have always said that this is a you know, this was a town where there wasn't any crime. Just wasn't. Jay also told the police that she knew the code to the front door as a friend of the kids. She was able to get herself in and out of the front door. And some of the kids had said they don't know how many people knew the code to the front door because lots of the friends came in and out of the house, many of them through the front door, and some of them would come through the sliding glass door as well. Okay, now I want to get into some uncomfortable stuff,
Hey,
medical examiner
Gal.
stuff. So again, if you're squeamish, warning, fair warning.
Warning.
Medical examiner confirmed that the weapon that they assumed was used, a K-bar knife, because they found the sheath. The medical examiner confirmed that that weapon matched the injuries that she saw. On June 28th, team of detectives met with the Spokane County medical examiner. They call her Dr. S. My assumption is that Dr. S is Dr. Veena Singh, because Dr. Veena Singh in June of 2023 was the Spokane County medical examiner. She was hired in April of 2021. So I'm just going to guess that that's who Dr. S is. But the meeting with her was to try to compare the injuries from the victims with the K-bar knife, because they got the sheath. So they knew, they had a pretty good idea the sheath matched a K-bar knife and that the K-bar knife was likely used as the weapon. Dr. Singh, reviewed selected photographs from all 4 of the victims. The shape and size of the K-bar knife was consistent with the injuries. Some of the wounds had 2 points. That's consistent with a double-edged tip of the knife. I'm a little confused by that, but others had a point on one side and a square edge on the other, matching the K-bar knife's single-edge blade profile. Some of the injuries had consistency with the metal guard at the base of the K-bar. Okay, from my background in criminal justice and reporting, I know what that means. Sometimes when a killer plunges a knife into someone, they go all the way in to the end where the base hits the handle, and that leaves an injury. It's horrifying to think of it, but it sounds like that's what happened. Some of the injuries had.
So did y'all hear that part? Some of them had some odd shaped injury, bruising, which seemed to be the knife had gone all the way completely in, and that oval shape of that handle closest to the knife itself would hit their bodies. That's rage, guys. Complete rage. Holly S., how you doing, my friend? Good to have you. Welcome, everybody coming in. Thank y'all for being here. But yes, the knife seemed to at times go completely in and made that oval impact bruise.
Marks consistent with the metal guard at the base of the K-bar knife. Dr. Singh, emphasized that skin stretching, body movement, knife angle, and depth all affect how wounds present. Makes sense to me. The force used was described as significant, indicating power behind the attack. So strength, frenzy, anger, aggression, power. That's what he did. That's what he did to these kids. Now, let me give you Dylan Mortenson's account. They refer to her in the documents as DM. We know the only DM in the house was Dylan Mortenson. So Dylan said she woke up about 4 a.m. She heard Kaylee's voice and Murphy the dog barking. She believed that Kaylee was dancing upstairs with the dog, and she recognized her voice clearly. DM said she heard Kaylee go upstairs and say, "There's someone here." So this is confusing to me because at first she hears Kaylee dancing upstairs, but she said she heard Kaylee go upstairs and say, "There's someone here." Kaylee's voice sounded scared, Dylan says to investigators. Dylan said she thought that she heard Kaylee run back down the stairs. This could have been the killer after he killed the girls upstairs, running back down the stairs, and maybe Dylan thinks she's hearing Kaylee running down the stairs. She opened her bedroom door after calling out to Kaylee, but closed it again out of fear. Again, well, you know, we're young girls, a little like skeeved out or freaked out, but you're certainly not thinking maniacal killers in the house. You're just thinking like, I'm spooked, you know, ghost. You know, that's what you're thinking. And everybody's been drinking. When she reopened the door, she heard someone crying in the bathroom. Okay. She thought it was Kaylee, but possibly Xana. All I can tell you about bathrooms is that there is a bathroom up the stairs, around the corner, and then kind of straight. So if she thinks she's hearing the crying in the bathroom on the 3rd floor, I don't think so, because why would Xana be up in that bathroom? Maybe instead she thinks she can hear crying out her door to the right, then take a left down the hallway, and there's a bathroom outside of Xana's bedroom door. It would make a little more sense. If she thought Kaylee ran down the stairs, she might have been crying in the bathroom on the 2nd floor. Or maybe it was Xana in the bathroom on the 2nd floor. But that's my thinking about where she might have heard the crying in the bathroom. But she thinks she hears, you know, crying in the bathroom, and she thinks it might be Kaylee, maybe Xana. But then she hears a male.
Guys, could you imagine trying, after hearing that 4 of your housemates are no longer alive, that they were brutally, horribly attacked, and knowing that you're the one that has to sit there and decipher all the sounds and movements and everything right away. Hey, Erna, good to have you. You're not too late. We're kind of halfway through this right now, but guys, I couldn't imagine trying to get everything correct in my head and trying to recall every tiny detail, because at the time it didn't seem important. It just seemed like everyday life in their home there.
Voice say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." She said the tone wasn't nice. That's the first time we'd heard that, right? "It's okay, I'm going to help you." It's just odd to think, what does that mean when it doesn't sound nice? And she said it was a voice she'd never heard before. So she knows there's a stranger in the house, but she doesn't know if it's a friend of one of the roommates, or maybe having a fight with one of the roommates. So then she sees the suspect. Okay. She opens her door again and she sees, quote, "the guy standing right there." That's the quote. She described him as 5'10", slightly taller, athletic build, wearing all black, mask covering the mouth, lower face, exposing the nose and forehead. She could not recognize the man, but knew instantly something was wrong. Dylan, said that she was in and out of it mentally that night. It's estimated about 20 minutes between hearing Kaylee's voice and seeing that suspect, but she wasn't completely sure of the timeline. She locked her door to her bedroom, and eventually she went to bed thinking everybody had gone to sleep because everything went quiet. What Dylan did after seeing the suspect. This is next in the documents of the investigators. As soon as the suspect left the house, Dylan said she immediately called her roommate downstairs, Bethany Funk. It's B, but we know B is Bethany. Bethany told her that she had heard something that sounded like a firework going off. That's the first time we've ever heard this, a firework going off. And Dylan said that she was still groggy and thought that everybody had gone to sleep, but she locked her door and she didn't call 911 that night. She woke up at about 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., somewhere in the 11 to 12 hour the next late morning, and tried to call her roommates, but nobody answered the phones, right? When Hunter arrived at the house, Dylan said they all agreed to call law enforcement immediately. This is even before they found dead bodies. They're starting to put together, there was a creepy guy in the house last night, and I was skeeved out, so I locked my door and went to bed, but now nobody's answering their phones, and I'm too scared to go upstairs. I don't know what's going on. I'm scared. That's again, these are my thoughts. But they call the police, and that's when Hunter walked upstairs to take a look and saw what he saw and told the girls, get out, get out, get out. You don't get out, get out. Now,
bless his heart, man. That Hunter guy saved those girls from having to see. They just went out of the home, called their friends to come meet them, went out of the home because they were scared of possibly Xana had drank too much, overdosed on something, passed out, can't get her awake, something. Who in their right mind is going to instantly think, oh my God, what if there was somebody that came in here and killed everybody but me and you? That's not something that's going to go through their minds. I wouldn't think so. But also, how did they not see all the blood? But Hunter himself did say it took him a while to figure out what he was seeing was blood in Xana's room and on her. I just think possibly shock set in that something bad had happened and these girls blocked out anything possible. But God bless Hunter for being the one to walk in and to see and realize what he was seeing, but not tell the girls. He just said, go out. Let everybody out. Everybody get out. Call 911. Yes, Brianna, she will talk about that here in just a minute. That will explain why we saw that.
Here are the prior incidents concerning stalker and strange activity. Dylan and others recalled multiple creepy incidents involving Kaylee. About a month before the murders, Kaylee again saw the shadowy figure near the tree line while walking her dog Murphy. Dylan said she heard Murphy barking a lot about 4 o'clock in the morning on the night of the murders. Right? We know that. But we heard that Dylan said she heard Murphy barking a lot both outside and inside. That's interesting. Dylan said Kaylee had talked about being followed before. There was also an incident 2 to 3 weeks prior to the murders where they found the sliding glass door in the kitchen open at the back of the house. Murphy was missing and they had to go look for him, the dog. Really interesting. So clearly they found Murphy, but the door was open. Murphy's gone. They got to go out looking for him. More on Murphy's behavior here. There were multiple witnesses who noticed something odd about Murphy's behavior. A witness named Kay said that Murphy ran behind the house into the bushes and would not return when called, which was not normal for Murphy. Kay said this happened more than once and that they would eventually just go inside and shut the door, obviously thinking there was something weird out there. E, might be Emily, Elant, I'm not sure. E also.
Holly, thank you for the super sticker. You're so sweet. We appreciate you. So here we go back to Murphy. Murphy the dog acting weird leading up to the day of November 13th. Going out into the woods, which he had never done before. Them seeing a man, they think Kaylee saw a man, she thought a shadowy figure out in the woods behind their home. Folks, it's my belief and my opinion only that was Brian Kohlberger. That was that monster watching, taking that opportunity to get to know Murphy so that possibly Murphy would think he was a friend. Cece, Kaylee and her ex-boyfriend had went in together, bought Murphy. They got him, and it was their dog. They took Murphy and took him to the Humane Society to hold till they could get everything figured out, and he was allowed to go and pick up Murphy. But I do believe, in my opinion, that Brian Kohlberger was out there days and weeks before. And with Murphy running off into the woods, I think he would pet Murphy and talk to Murphy and made friends with Murphy, possibly.
Remember this one incident during a Halloween party where Murphy did the same thing. They heard footsteps or rustling in the woods behind the house and they decided to go inside. On another occasion, Murphy disappeared again and they later found the rear sliding door open. Emily, I'm guessing Emily, it says E, but I'm just going to guess Emily, said that multiple friends came and went freely at 1122 King Road and that it wasn't uncommon for outsiders to walk in when no one was home. Meaning friends coming over, walking in, checking it out. Hey guys, you home? You home? They're not here. Let's go. That's not unusual for this house apparently, and not unusual for an off-campus house either. Now let me take you to the activity the night of the murders from the bar because.
Okay. The house being a party house was very prominently talked about in the early days and everything. After watching the Amazon Prime docuseries thing that they did, I realized it was a party place for them and some of their close friends. It was not the open house party place. Yeah. I wanted to call into Josh's the other night with Dr. Gary and ask him if he thought it was possible that Brian could have, leading up to it, made friends with the dog. And I want to know, my question is, when it comes to Murphy, did he even have any blood on him? Or did Brian put him in that bedroom, shut the door, and did they carry Murphy out so that he didn't try to go to Kaylee? But we do know that he is with Kaylee's ex, he has Murphy. Murphy is fine. Bless his little heart. Yes, Bridget, I agree. A party place is one thing, a murder scene is another. There are hundreds and hundreds of places on college campuses that are party places. But as far as their party place, it was their close, tight-knit group of friends that gathered there. Very seldom did they ever have an open door party, like let everybody know, party at our place tonight. It was them and their core group of friends. But in the beginning, it made it out like there was just an open door policy there for anyone and everyone to come in. But was totally debunked in that Amazon, or that's the way I understood it to be, because they said, that they had parties and they did have people come to the parties, but it was their little group of people. It wasn't just everybody from the college comes into this house and it's packed wall to wall people. It wasn't that type of party place.
Haley and Maddie had come from the corner club and they had a bar tab. So there's bar tab information. And at 12:22 a.m., Kaylee paid her bar tab using a credit card. And on the tab was 9 well vodkas and 2 add juice, meaning mix. And at 1:31 a.m., a male referred to as S paid his own bar tab. He'd been seen earlier on the Grub Truck video with Kaylee and Madison. That interaction appeared friendly and consensual. His tab included 5 canned or bottled drinks and 2 kamikazes. That's all it says about that. A neighbor reports the dog barking around the time of the murders. A male neighbor told investigators that he woke up multiple times Saturday night and into Sunday morning. That's the times of the murders. At 4:17 a.m., the murders still would have been happening at this point. He checked the clock and said about 5 minutes later, he heard a dog barking outside. Wow.
Okay, listen to her explanation. And I agree with her. I think when Brian Kohlberger put that dog in there, he lifted the window up so that the sound traveled to sound as if the dog was outside or inside, or to confuse people. That's a thought.
The sound came from the direction of 1122 King Road. We don't think that Murphy is outside at 4:20 in the morning. What we do know is that maybe Kaylee's room had a window open, and the dog, they know they found the dog in Kaylee's room with the door closed. So the killer, Kohlberger, probably put the dog in there, shut the door, and the dog was barking, and maybe the window was open, and maybe that's what the neighbors heard. I'd be surprised if the window was open because it's November in Idaho. It's cold.
But
I don't know. But they heard a dog barking, what they thought sounded outside.
I just don't think Brian Kohlberger would think, oh, it's cold outside, I'm not going to open the window. I think he would be covering his tracks to distract and to carry that dog bark noise to the outside to cause confusion.
He drifted in and out of sleep, but he still heard the dog barking at 5 a.m. He emphasized that he had never heard Murphy barking in the middle of the night before, even though he had lived there since January. So now Kohlberger's arrest. This is creepy stuff. Remember when he was arrested in Pennsylvania at his parents' house? The interrogations began then, right? The interviews began then. During his post-arrest interview in Pennsylvania, Kohlberger initially engaged in small talk with the Idaho investigators. But as soon as they started asking about the murders in Idaho, right? Homicides that they're investigating in Idaho, he shuts down, won't talk to them anymore. Kohlberger said that he respected law enforcement. Apparently he told the cops who were interviewing them that he respected law enforcement. Of course you do, you loser. You tried to get a job with the cops and they wouldn't hire you because you were too much of a freak. Again, I'm on my soapbox here. But look at him trying to be big man. I respect law enforcement. Go to hell. He said, quote, Kohlberger told the cops, quote, "It is a constitutional right to speak to an attorney." Smart ass thinks he's smart. All you have to do is say, "I invoke my fifth," or "I want a lawyer." That's all you need to say. You don't have to say the flowery language that he was using. You just need to say, "I want my lawyer." And after that, anytime they ask you questions, they can't use it against you. If you've already invoked your right to have a lawyer by asking for your lawyer, the investigation stops. But if you keep talking, if you keep telling them stuff voluntarily after you've been told you have the right to your attorney, that's on you. So then he did open up, apparently. He did keep talking to them about nature and religion. God hates you. I'm sorry. If you're religious out there and you're angry that I said that.
Yes,
I just
Lori.
feel like any God out there would hate someone like this who could do this to 4 kids. He talked about a road trip that he took with his dad, admiring the scenery. He said he was raised a Christian, not a good one, but that he'd always been a skeptic, except when confronted with the beauty of the natural world. Clearly, he can compartmentalize life because the natural world doesn't accept him. He's not part of it. He described the outdoors as a reflection of a higher power and spiritual beauty. I wonder what higher power he thought was looking over him when he was plunging a knife well over 100 times into 4 innocent kids who were
Amen.
sleeping. I wonder what higher power he was, thinking about, or what higher power he had in his life at that point. There were text messages that went back and forth between some Washington State University professors. This is interesting stuff because they had their concerns about Brian Koberger. They already had him marked as a problem. And here's what one professor wrote to another professor, quote, "We need to do an intervention with Koberger. She's going to try to gather some information, but apparently he has offended several of our female students," end quote.
He's a weirdo. We can say that pretty much for sure, right, guys?
I will say this about the investigators looking into the grub truck. Early on, of course, the grub truck was a big part of the investigation because there were people who were around Kaylee and Madison just hours before they ended up dead. And so they looked into the grub truck pretty carefully. A friend with the initial P told investigators that she saw Kaylee and Madison at the grub truck just hours before the murders. She said both girls were happy and laughing and in good spirits. P heard after the fact that someone at the corner club had been acting creepy towards Maddie. That individual allegedly was kicked out of the bar. He did not know of any other men that Kaylee was with that night, but recalled that Kaylee had an ex-boyfriend who went to University of Idaho, but that they were on good terms. P also confirmed Maddie had a boyfriend who had graduated from the University of Idaho, but did not know his name. She was not aware of anybody other than Ethan and Xana who were hanging out that night. Security concerns at 1122 King Road. A source told police that Kaylee would often call him if she felt unsafe, especially when walking home alone. He said there were people coming in and out of the house all the time. He added, there's no initial here, but I'm almost wondering if it's Jack DeCur, her ex-boyfriend, who she was very friendly with, and she called a lot. I don't know if it is or not, but so this person added that more people knew the code to that front door than they should have. Interesting. He wasn't sure if the rear sliding glass door was regularly locked. I'm going to go into some autopsy results. This is very graphic. It's medical and it's graphic for Ethan Chapin. The fatal stab wound was the stab under his left.
Listen to this part very, very, very close, okay? Let me see if I can go back to about right here. This is the part about Ethan. This is where we're going to realize why the blood was seeping through the floorboard area.
Well over 100 times into 4 innocent kids who were sleeping. I wonder what higher power he was thinking about, or what higher power he had in his life at that point. There were text messages that went back and forth between some Washington State University professors. This is interesting stuff because they had their concerns about Brian Koberger. They already had him marked as a problem. And here's what one professor wrote to another professor, quote, "We need to do an intervention with Koberger. She's going to try to gather some information, but apparently he has offended several of our female students," end quote. I will say this about the investigators looking into the grub truck. Early on, of course, the grub truck was a big part of the investigation because there were people who were around Kaylee and Madison just hours before they ended up dead. And so they looked into the grub truck pretty carefully. A friend with the initial P told investigators that she saw Kaylee and Madison at the grub truck just hours before the murders. She said both girls were happy and laughing and in good spirits. P heard after the fact that someone at the corner club had been acting creepy towards Maddie. That individual allegedly was kicked out of the bar. P did not know of any other men that Kaylee was with that night, but recalled that Kaylee had an ex-boyfriend who went to University of Idaho, but that they were on good terms. P also confirmed Maddie had a boyfriend who had graduated from the University of Idaho, but did not know his name. She was not aware of anybody other than Ethan and Xana who were hanging out that night. Security concerns at 1122 King Road. A source told police that Kaylee would often call him if she felt unsafe, especially when walking home alone. He said there were people coming in and out of the house all the time. He added, there's no initial here, but I'm almost wondering if it's Jack DeCur, her ex-boyfriend, who she was very friendly with, and she called a lot. I don't know if it is or not, but so this person added that more people knew the code to that front door than they should have. Interesting. He wasn't sure if the rear sliding glass door was regularly locked.
Okay, here we go.
Autopsy results. This is very graphic. It's medical and it's graphic for Ethan Chapin. The fatal stab wound was the stab under his left clavicle. The injury severed the subclavian vein and the subclavian artery and the jugular vein. Obviously, Koberger knew what he was doing. He knew how to incapacitate these kids quickly.
So basically, guys, his complete throat was completely gashed open in a very deep, horrible way.
They all have the same kind of injury. He sustained only sharp force injuries, no other blunt force injuries, no other murder weapon. So as it appears in the autopsy. For Xana Kernodle, her fatal injuries were one laceration to.
Okay, so let's stop there. Ethan was laying on his stomach on the bed. He was covered up and he was leaning with his head and one of his arms and shoulder off of the bed, between the bed and the wall. So that is the exact same area we saw on the outside of the home. All of his blood was pouring down against that baseboard, basically. And it went through that slab. Horrible. And it seemed as if he was asleep, probably went to race to get up, and that's when he was slashed completely. And that's all it took. Horrible. Horrible. Okay, here's Xana.
Her right lung, 2 lacerations through her heart, over 50 stab wounds, most of them defensive.
She fought,
She just
guys.
fought like hell. She also sustained only sharp force injuries, no blunt force injuries. Madison Mogan, fatal injuries were left lung laceration and liver laceration. And Maddie, sustained only sharp force injuries, no blunt force injuries. Kaylee Gonzalez, her fatal injuries, again, left lung laceration. Okay, which is interesting. Xana has a laceration to her right lung because she's fighting, don't forget. But Maddie and Kaylee both have left lung, and you see with Ethan, left clavicle. So he's going after the left.
The left side is what he was going towards. Exactly in that area where their heart is. Horrible.
Right near the heart. So left lung laceration for Kaylee, liver laceration, 2 subdural bleeds, brain trauma. Wow. That means that she had 2 subdural bleeds with brain trauma. She was bashed in the head. Stab wounds behind the clavicle, severed subclavian vein and artery. She sustained 20 plus stab wounds, except for that the police said 30 plus. And her dad, Steve Gonzalez, said 30 plus. So maybe this is a mistake. I don't know. Medical examiner found evidence of sharp force, blunt force, and asphyxial injuries on Kaylee. Okay, so all I can say here is that I think maybe Kaylee was the second to be killed. Maybe he killed Maddie first, and as she was incapacitated, Kaylee's fighting, because Kaylee has awakened as he's killing Maddie. She's right beside. And now Kaylee's fighting him, and so he is fighting and punching and hurting her, and maybe trying to asphyxiate her, maybe with his hand over her mouth and stretching it. Maybe that's where those injuries are, like she was gagged. Or maybe he had his hand over her mouth because she's screaming. We heard that she was making a lot of noise. Dylan thought she was, screaming and yelling at the dog and dancing, but these are fighting for your life noises. And maybe she's able to move her mouth so much that it gets above his hand, and that's where the gagging comes from, that the force that he's using. It's all I can imagine as to why these injuries. Here's something interesting. Another set of documents was a civilian tip that came in. Business casual man, a man dressed in business casual.
Okay, hold on. Before we go forward, I'm not sure if she goes back to this with Kaylee or not. But folks, Kaylee's hole from her neck up was destroyed. Her teeth were all knocked out. He tried to keep his hand over her, so that would be the asphyxiation part. From what they said, you could see on the sides of her mouth where basically his fingers and his thumb would have gone. Brain trauma. he got mad at her and went in overdrive. He probably went to go towards Dylan and Bethany. Xana and Ethan. And Xana started fighting back. But she just got more stab wounds where Maddie was completely destroyed. Guys, you have to stop and think about the fact that they say he was only in there for about approximately 18 minutes. And over 100 stab wounds, not counting the slicing that was done to the neck area, to the face area, but the deep stabs. My gosh, to unalive 4 people in that most horribly gruesome way, and to do that and be gone because his car was seen hauling butt out of there. It was seen on camera going that direction, pulling in, and seen leaving in about 18 minutes time. That's some serious adrenaline rush that happened. It's mental.
Walking along the highway on the day of the murders, that's November 13th, 2022, a tipster named T came forward after encouragement from her friends. She spoke with the police about a man that she saw on the afternoon of the murders. She said that she and her husband were leaving the Costco in Clarkston, Washington between 2 and 2:30 p.m. and they were driving north across Red Wolf Bridge. As they turned eastbound onto the highway, T said she saw a man walking alone on the grassy strip between the river and the highway. Interesting. River and the highway. What stood out? The area was remote. It was not a place where people would typically walk, which made the sighting feel strange to her. The man appeared to notice her watching him, looked up, then briefly looked down and avoided eye contact. After seeing extensive news coverage of Kohberger, the tipster said the man resembled Kohberger. She clarified she wasn't 100% sure, but said that his demeanor and his appearance matched. She specifically noted his clothing was nice and agreed with the officer's description as business casual. Here's some information about Kaylee possibly being followed.
So do y'all hear that? A woman and her husband saw a man across the bridge in Washington walking in an area where people don't pull over, stop, and get out to look at the river. He would not make eye contact. He kept his head down, but she said his demeanor, his looks, and everything. So is that where all of his evidence went to? Is that where all of the gloves, the booties, the hairnet, the hoodie, the knife, everything that he had on, is that where it went to? Did it go in that river? But now, I listened to Brian Inton the other day, and he did a video and talked about the fact that they found a small shovel and it had dirt particles on it. And the dirt particles matched Idaho dirt. So could he have stopped along the way, dug a few holes here and there, put a piece here, put a piece there, and threw out the weapon into the river? Because I would think his clothes, his booties, the little lightweight things would not have sunk to the bottom quite as well as what something with weight. You heard that, Brianna? Yeah. So I'm wondering if he didn't possibly take a stop here and there to discard everything. And yet, possibly in Washington is where the heavier items got put into the water. On the way to Pennsylvania. Yeah. Yep. Very possible. Hey, Bridget. I know, right? Just tell everything. And that's the bad part. There's still so many questions left floating around, just hanging around. And if I was the prosecutor and he wanted to make a deal for life in prison, I would have had with the stipulation, and this is just me, but I would have had with the stipulation of answering certain questions that the family would want asked, and have the family write down 5 questions each or something along that line. And he would have to answer those to the family. Because I don't think it was right for him to not speak at all and just sit there like a bump on a log, useless, and hold every bit of information that those family members will never get. Let's finish listening.
Multiple incidents reported by friends. A witness described as Jay told investigators she had heard from others that Kaylee once saw a strange man behind the house while taking Murphy, her dog, out to pee. We've already heard a couple of reports of this earlier, right? Jay also said she heard about a separate incident. A man allegedly followed Kaylee around inside the Winco grocery store. He then followed her out of the store, and Kaylee believed he tried to get into her car. Interesting. Jay wasn't sure who told her, but said that Bethany or Dylan could confirm the details. Detectives follow up on the alleged stalker with a tip, actually, that came from a friend. On November 15th, in 2022, police detective received a voicemail from someone claiming to have info about Kaylee Gonzalez having a stalker. When the detective returned the call, he said the woman had lunch with Kaylee around September 11th, along with several friends. During that lunch, Kaylee may have mentioned a stalker. She couldn't remember exactly, but thought that Kaylee said she'd received something strange in the mail.
Yes.
Another friend at the lunch thought Kaylee had gotten a weird Facebook message. The exact details were unclear, but multiple people recalled Kaylee referencing a stalker around that time. Again, these are all investigative notes. They may have gone nowhere. They may have gone somewhere. They may have had something to do with Koberger. They may have not. It's just the early investigative product. Dylan Mortensen, direct quote to officers. Dylan said approximately 4 a.m. she heard Kaylee scream. Kaylee shouted there was somebody in the house. Dylan said she could hear Kaylee run down the stairs from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor and into the northwest bedroom. This is where I'm starting to think this is how, after multiple interviews of Dylan, right? She's adding details as she's remembering in multiple different interviews. This may be where Xana has encountered Brian Koberger and is running to the northwest bedroom. And it's actually Xana that's running, and maybe Dylan thinks it's Kaylee because there are these footsteps coming down the stairs. Dylan says she locks herself in her room and continues to hear a commotion. Then Dylan says the struggle stopped. Heard the male voice say, "You're going to be fine. I'm going to help you." The voice is unfamiliar, but sounded intentional and unsettling. This is another interview where she's giving these notes, and an officer is taking these notes. After a few minutes, Dylan says she peeked out the bedroom and saw a male figure leaving. He was tall, 6 feet, slim build, black ski mask, exited through the 2nd floor patio door. That's the kitchen slider. The same patio door was found open when the police arrived. So he walked out the door and didn't close it.
Okay. So it's been said Dylan saw who we now think was Brian Koberger, made eye contact with him, but he kept walking on. Guys, is it possible that he was at extreme exhaustion, but yet still had so much adrenaline pumping through him that he was just had to hurry and get away, that he did not even see Dylan? That's the only explanation I could come up with as to why he would not have seen her. And I just wonder, is it possible that there was so much adrenaline pumping through his blood, but yet at the same exact time, he still had that rage. He still had all of that just exploding inside of him, but he was completely exhausted at the same time and was not even seeing anything. We don't know exactly who was first. We really do not. That's the bad thing, Kelly. Queen, thank you so much. You do an amazing job. Love you, girl. Thank you. I love you so much. Thank you for that. That is so sweet. Thank you. I love that y'all are here and y'all are putting stuff in chat and we can, interact on our thoughts and everything. So it's not just me, it's y'all too. Love y'all so much. And don't forget, tomorrow we're doing a members live. If you haven't joined a membership and would like to hear what we got going, things that have taken place pertaining to Sebastian's case to try to push things into happening, looking into corruption. It is very important for y'all to the Sebastian Rogers case. It will be either 6 or 7 Central tomorrow. So, okay, here we go. Let's listen.
Bethany gives the timeline for the phone calls after that sound and flash, right? This is the second report of the fireworks sound.
The fireworks sound with the flash. That part, this is the only time I've heard that. And there's no explanation for it. But listen to what she says here.
Whose bedroom was on the first floor of the basement, said she woke up to the sound she described as a firecracker and saw a brief flash. She thought it was a prank at first. Phone call logs confirm a rapid series of outgoing calls. 4:21 a.m. to Xana, 4:22 to Ethan, 4:22 to Madison, 4:30 to Maddie again, 4:31 to Kaylee. Not one of them is answered. After calling, Bethany goes back to sleep, doesn't wake again until 11:56 a.m. when 911 was called. This is from the notes again that the officer's taking from the investigation with Dylan and Bethany. Neighbor sees the front door wide open the morning after the murders. On Sunday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., a neighbor walking his dog notices something strange. The front door of 1122 King Road is wide open. It faced campus on the north side of the building. The neighbor assumed it was left open by someone who had been drinking, as the house was known to be a party house. This is so confounding to me because we know that Koberger came in and out through the slider, slithered, as the judge said. I love that. Slithered like a snake into the back door.
So why would the front door be open? But I'm wondering if the girls had not already came outside by that time because they were scared of what was happening inside. I don't know, but that's very strange.
Why is the front door open? Did the kids come in through the front door and leave it open? Does it have nothing to do with any of this? Does it have something to do with it? It's kind of confusing. Back to Washington State, a teaching assistant tells the police that Koberger lied and had suspicious injuries. This is fascinating. A TA, referred to as L, described Koberger as dishonest, frequently late to class. Koberger tells L in late December that he was catching a flight back to Pennsylvania. And later, L finds out that Koberger had already been in Pennsylvania and had driven back with his dad. So now L knows you're just a liar. When you told me in late December that you were catching a flight, you'd already been there for a while because, you made the news, pal. L also said to the police that L noticed injuries on Brian Koberger's face and hands on 2 separate occasions in October and in November of 2022. Oh my God. Injury.
So injuries to his face and to his hands in October. In October, a month prior. Did he do something else somewhere else? Makes you wonder, did he do a dry run? Just a practice run with somebody out of the blue before he went in to 1122 Park Road? I don't know. It's very strange.
To his face and hands in October? What had he done in October? What or who had he had interaction with in October to have injuries on his face and hands? And now we know in November. He was in a pitched fight with 4 people, pitched fight with at least 2 of them, pitched fight with at least Kaylee and Xana, who fought like hell. He had to stab Xana 50 times. He stabbed Kaylee at least 30, right? Yeah, you probably got some injuries on your hands and on your face. One injury, according to Elle, was a large scratch on his face, described as possibly caused by fingernails. Elle also saw knuckle wounds and asked him what happened. And Koberger said he'd been in a car accident. Horseshit, right? Total horseshit. There's no car accident anywhere. This TA also recalled that Koberger liked to discuss topics like criminal decision-making and burglary-like crimes. Here's some cell phone data information from investigators. Koberger was near 1122 King Road at least 12 times before the murders. They pulled historical AT&T records from his phone. Between June and the killings, his phone pinged near the crime scene at least 12 times. All but one of those pings occurred in the late evening or early morning hours. Some of this we already know, but some of it is new to us. Lindsay, Steve Gonzalez is calling me right now. I'm going to grab it. Hi, Steve.
This is Kaylee's father.
I'm good. I'm actually just recording a podcast right now. How are you doing?
Hey, if I need to let you go, I'm at the corner bar right now. She's finally reading some of the stuff that I heard about. She's just upset. And I'm just, when I see her upset, I get all motivated. I'm just so pissed that.
Hey, Bo, love you.
Well, for one, he said give it to us first, and they did. And yeah, you guys got it before we did, just like you got the murders before we did.
Which stuff? Wait, which stuff? Because we got all the material after your 3-hour meeting, I think.
Yeah, but the 3-hour meeting was just a question and answer. We just got there and talked to him. There was no documents handed over to us.
Okay.
How do you ask for something you don't know exists?
No, you're right. No, I thought you were given all this material, that they went over it all with you. I didn't realize this was you just asking questions and getting some answers, but not getting all the details.
No, we just wanted a question that was really related. Like we want to see in our final statements, which they confirmed a bunch of stuff that we had wasn't accurate. So we removed a bunch of our stuff. Because I heard Kaylee was stabbed 50 times, but that was actually Xana. So I took out, and then I heard some other things like some about I don't know what it was, but basically it made us all rewrite our statements to take out any things that weren't 100% confirmed.
Yeah.
So he's saying they had a 3-hour meeting before the sentencing to ask questions to make sure their statements that they were going to speak were correct. They wanted to be 100% correct. Kaylee's father had heard she had been stabbed 50 times. It turned out to be, no, that was Xana, not Kaylee. And so that's what the 3-hour conversation was. After the hearing, when the gag order was released and documents started dropping, is when their parents, these 4 people who were unalived, their parents received the documents at the same time we all received the documents. I think that's pretty crappy, guys. That is pretty rough.
Some of the searches on his phone were confirmed, but then they were like, again, they said anything that was Pennsylvania research is different than our research, and they were researching murders related to his activity in Pennsylvania. We weren't privy to that investigation, and we're not privy to the investigation that the FBI were doing. We are who we are, and we didn't see some of these things. So we're not saying they didn't exist. We're just saying we can't confirm it. So when we were saying certain searches on porn and all this stuff like that, an investigator called me and said, yeah, not only did he searches related to drunk girls, he also had related to gagging.
Yeah.
And some of the damage to Kaylee could have basically seemed like he was trying to quiet her. He was trying to silence her, which if he's searching for choke porn, then in that murder scene, you had drunk girls and choke porn. Literally, so for a prosecutor to say that there's no sexual motivation at all, we know there's no assault. Okay, we know this person was interrupted, literally interrupted. So who knows what his intentions were? But for you to go and say that it wasn't motivated, really, it insulted so many people that my phone started ringing, saying, "I can't stand here. I can't stand here and let this prosecutor basically." He's protecting the university at the cost of everyone, of all you guys, all you victims. He's just basically going to protect that university. You know what? Pain works for the university now, right?
Real quickly, the notes that we got with all these details, are these just Moscow police notes, but no FBI notes?
Yeah, there's nothing about the FBI that they're privy to. The FBI had a separate investigation that they did not share with them. The Pennsylvania, they did work with Pennsylvania. They said more than the FBI.
Yeah.
But they were clear to say that their investigation could have found a lot of things that we are not privy to.
Yeah.
Now, why is it that the prosecutor who is going to be taking this man to trial did not receive the investigative notes from the FBI? Guys, is it just me, or do y'all find that very strange? Hey, Kelly. 50 times. That was Xana. 20 to 30 times for Kaylee. And Kaylee's teeth were all knocked out. Completely gone. Her face was unrecognizable. And yet the FBI search never sent any notes. That's very weird. What is going on with the FBI? Why is it that they get to do their investigation but not share notes that could help put this man away for forever? Why is it possible? That's just, I wanted to make sure that y'all thought that was very strange too, because that part blew me away. I could not believe it. Okay, we got just a few more minutes. Let's listen to the rest of it.
So, and those images in the Dateline look like somebody taking a picture of his phone directly.
Well, I can't wait for those to get unsealed. I did want to ask you a quick question, though, because I'm still mystified. Yesterday in the press conference, the police said there's only one murder weapon, and it's the K-bar knife, but then there are blunt force injuries. And I know that you mentioned there's a second weapon. What did they say to you? Because in the press conference, they said, ask the families. What did they say to you about a second weapon?
I don't think that weapon murdered her. And that's the kind of games that these people are playing. It's protect the university, protect the stuff. He punched her face. He knocked her teeth out. That didn't kill her. So they're playing those kind of games with the
Did he knock her teeth out?
Yeah, their teeth were busted out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so maybe that didn't murder her. So technically, it wasn't a murder weapon.
Right.
But come on. I mean, why are you protecting the monster?
And so
protecting the monster.
The blunt injuries that they described in the autopsy, that we think that is him with his hands, literally.
No, I think there's another weapon.
You do?
Yeah, it's rounded with stripes in, is how it was described to us.
Rounded with stripes?
Yeah, it was a rounded object that had stripes, so it bruised her with stripes around her mouth. So she started making noises, screaming. She woke up. They said she woke up. The blood pooled in a certain way to show that she was sitting up, and he kept punching her in her face and stabbing her in the top of her head.
Jesus Christ, what an animal.
This is who they protect. And it's not the officers. It's not the investigators. It's Thompson. Thompson cares more about the university than he cares about the victims.
Bill Thompson, the prosecutor.
Yes, Bill Thompson cares way more about you. And now this has gotten so bad in America that people have contacted us and said, there's laws in other states that says that if you are the campus police, you cannot investigate murders or rapes, because we've seen historically that you're so compromised by this relationship with the university that you will not tell the truth. It's happened because there was some rape case where there was, I don't want to make little of it, but there were so many different rape allegations that they said, why didn't you guys do anything? And they're like, well, my employer didn't really want me to. And they're like, your employer, like, I'm a campus cop. We don't want crime to be in the news, you know? So there's literally laws that I can show you what they shared with me that says if you're a campus cop, you have to go get a state police to verify and do the investigation, because clearly we have a problem when the university is employing you on campus. That creates a relationship where you're well, just like this town. This town goes from like 8,000 to 10,000 people when they're not enrolled, all the way up to like, 60,000 people. They live this life cycle of when the university.
Guys, can you believe they don't want that in the news? So they're not going to talk about somebody going around campuses doing that horrible thing. Oh my gosh, that's horrible to hear. And because her teeth being knocked out and the stripes on her around her mouth, which I think possibly could have been his hands, but it didn't unalive her, so it was not considered M weapon. So they're not going to talk about it. What if it was just one person out of that home that got unalived? Would we be sitting here talking about this? Or would they have kept it hush hush so that everybody didn't panic at that school? Is it because there were 4 of them? And it was so horribly gross that they had no choice? What if it was just one? Would they have covered that up? Would they have only had one person unalived and only one family to deal with? Would that college campus have covered that up? Whereas they had 4 unalived and 4 families that were very strong families that bonded together as a complete unit that would not back down. That's horrible. All to save their name. Yes, Lolo. And hello, beautiful. Wow. That is horrible to even think about. Man. Okay, we got about 6 minutes. Let's listen.
Running and everything's good, we're killing it. All the restaurants are full, all the things are coming up. But when everyone goes home for summer, that's a reminder that this is what this town would be without the university. So nobody wants to sit there and fight that this conflict of interest is there. So I think the conflict of interest was hey, we just need this case to go away.
Are you, let me ask you, are you going to file a wrongful death suit against anyone?
Last thing I want to be is back in court, to be honest.
I hear you.
My family doesn't want to be back in court. That's not my motivation. I doubt it. The only way I would go that way is if somebody reached out was just I'll do all the heavy lifting, Steve. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to need you at the very end, and that's it. Because I'm just exhausted with it. I'd like to kick the University of Idaho in the ass a little bit. Tell them, just like I told Brian, that this is the wrong family. We're not going to take this shit. And you stepping on children isn't gonna. Don't do it with my kid's name.
That's
right. Don't be yelling Kaylee's name out there. If it was my way, I'd never have that piece of shit prosecutor ever say Kaylee's name again. And nothing makes me madder than him saying Kaylee's name.
Well, I hear you. I completely understand, and my heart absolutely breaks for you and for Christy and the kids and everything you've gone through. I hope you're going to get home soon. Are you headed home?
Yeah. We just stopped by here because we've never been in this building ever, and there was we just wanted to be here to just see where Kaylee and we're at that very last part of it, and we're here to see it.
This is the Corner Club bar?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Are you okay?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just more motivated again, which is, I want to be done. I definitely want to be done, but gosh, to hear this shit at the very end and then give it to the media, not the fans.
It was Kaylee.
It's just insulting. And I mean, I can go wow, legislators that I'm working with and they'll change laws. That's so hollow to the fact that why do we have prosecutors that are just this rude, this disgusting? They want the whole freaking accountability, but they played us against each other. They didn't let each parent know what the other one. Karen literally told me if I knew that she was unrecognizable, I wouldn't have agreed to it. And I said, well, why do you think they didn't want you to know? We all got played.
I'm so sorry, Steve. I'm so sorry. And I'm mostly just in shock that you did not receive all of these investigative documents before everybody else did. I'm so sorry.
You can tell people, dude, I want pressure on them, and eventually I want another family not to have to deal with this. And yeah, they're gonna learn. You wanna don't use my daughter's name anymore. Stop saying her name if you're gonna freaking treat me like you hate the media, but you treat the media the same as the victims. It's like, why do you hate the media? Because the media holds you accountable. You guys are you're pathetic. You're so pathetic.
Oh gosh. Well, listen, can you please give Christy a big hug for me? And it doesn't do anything, but at least it's the very least I can do from so far away. And I'm sending you one virtually as well. I'm praying for some peace. I don't know if you feel any better that the monster got sent to the penitentiary last night. They didn't waste a minute. They processed him in and got him in there last night. Okay. Wow. That was unexpected. A call from Steve Gonzalez. I do want to let you know that I stopped down for a short minute and I talked to him off air. He told me something that he has heard, which is pretty big. He said that he has heard that several of the guards at the maximum security institution have indicated to others that they have their eye on Koberger. They knew he was coming. They saw him come in, and they have plans. What that means, I don't know. Steve doesn't know. He says he's heard it.
Y'all hear
It makes
that?
me feel better, and I agree. That would make me feel better, knowing that the guards have his number. Life's not going to be good for Koberger. I have a couple things I just want to finish up. We were right in the middle before Steve called me telling you some of the information about the Elantra, or rather the cell phone of Brian Koberger. 12 times it pinged between June and November before the murders at the house at 11:22. All of them late evening or early morning hours, exactly when the murders happened. One verified occasion, August 21st, 2022, his phone showed activity near the King Road home between 10:34 p.m. and 11:35 p.m. 1 full hour he's lurking out there. 2 minutes later, 11:37 p.m., Koberger is pulled over by the Latah County Sheriff's Department. His phone also pinged at the location of the traffic stop. So they know that the pings are accurate because they had him there. The cops have him there and it's pinging. His Reddit survey, little information about the Reddit survey. Investigators discover a public Reddit post by Koberger created before the murders. It's a survey asking users to share, quote, how emotions and psychological traits influence decision-making when committing a crime. We had heard about this. The survey is still findable via open source internet search. Okay, that's a lot of material. It's a lot of information, made even more by that call from Steve Gonzalez. I didn't realize when he said, I'm at the corner bar, I thought he'd gone home. And he was still in Moscow. He was at the Corner Club. The Corner Club was the last place that Maddie and Kaylee visited before they went home and were murdered. So this is very poignant that he's there visiting that place and having a drink. I don't know what it would be like. I can't imagine. I do this job all the time, and I've covered true crime for 2 decades. And I just still can't imagine what it's like to be in their shoes. And my heart breaks all the time. Very hard to be a journalist, honestly. I know my job is to reach out and try and get information, but I am constantly conflicted by people I like. I like Steve Gonzalez. I've developed a very good relationship over the last almost 3 years with him. And it's just very hard. Sometimes it's just hard to ask them questions because I would prefer just to console them. So there you have it. Sorry for the long and meandering podcast, everybody. I hope that this was helpful for you as you try to put together the pieces of this terribly unsettling mystery. But as we learn more, I will be here for you as well. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for watching. And remember, if you remember one thing, truth isn't just serious, it's drop dead serious.
When you turn that.
All right. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that because I think she did a very, very good job just going over the outline of everything that we have learned. And to hear her father say that it was not before the sentencing, before the plea deal was accepted, before they made their impact statements, they had no idea the injuries that had happened to their children. They had no idea that Kaylee had no teeth. They had no idea the stab wounds to her head. They got the documents at the same time. All of us started seeing them drop. And that was after they made their victim impact statements. It was, Randa. It was hard to hear and to know that her father was sitting at the last place that she was at just hours, not very many hours before her life was over. I just, I myself losing a child about destroyed my life. And it was an accident, completely an accident. Hey, Jeff. Woo, yes. Don't you know when he did that? I was like, oh, Lord. Her daddy, Kaylee's daddy, got up. He turned that podium. That was a statement in itself. It was for sure. Yes. But guys, just me, myself, knowing how I didn't want to go on after losing my son. And it was a car accident. But what these families are going through is unimaginable. And to have the university wanting to cover their butts completely is infuriating. To not receive those documents about what their child went through, because they were asking questions, but they weren't telling them everything. Oh, I know, right? He who came to kick ass, chew bubble gum, and he was all about the bubble gum. That's right. And his daughter stood up behind that and gave it to him just as much. Her mother was very powerful as well. They all were. Each and every person that read a statement was very strong to do that, because I honestly don't know that I would be able to even trust myself to stay behind the podium. I would want to at least reach that man and poke his eyeballs out of his head. Just knowing he was the reason I'm having to stand there and make an impact statement, and he is sitting there with a blank stare. Useless, wasting oxygen that others really need. I don't know that I could have done that. Y'all ask about silvers on the scene. Hang on, let me see if I can find it real quick. And if y'all want to, I'm game, because I'm going to watch it for sure. So if y'all want to do that, let me see. Okay. So y'all tell me, do y'all want to watch it? Yes, no? Jeff, that's funny. That might have pushed him over the top. Yeah, maybe. Yes, Kaylee's sister, Olivia. Yes. And Brian Inton, if you haven't looked, go to Brian Inton, and he talks right after court and does a just talks to Olivia, Kaylee's sister, about her statement, and it was very good. Yeah, that's it, Randa. Wasting 2 years and then took a plea deal. What a wimp. He's useless. There are people in this world who are just not worth the time. And I say that not casually. Lolo, trust me, I would. I'm sure I would. I don't know that I could just stay behind that podium. But I do think there are people in the world that have such a empty soul for whatever reason that they feed off of it. Erna says that is the problem. What Seth talk, no informative. Yeah. Yes. You know, very seldom did we get any type of reaction out of Brian Kohlberger, but this was one time that I did see where, Xana's family member said that she was beautiful on the inside and out. And BK did a nod of his head. It was a little nod. And I'm surprised that he even continued to look at Olivia while she spoke. Bridget, there's something there. There's something to it. I don't know. But there are people that are just way too dark on the inside. Yeah, she tells him. I liked how she said, sit up straight. Yeah, Charlene, I'll have to watch that here in just a little bit. If y'all want to watch it, we can. We can watch Silvers if you want to and see what he had to say about Sebastian. I think for a man to go on one date with a woman and she's in the bathroom half the time trying to avoid him and makes an excuse to have to leave, and then she receives a text message from him that says, you have good birthing hips. That's a huge red flag. That's as creepy as they come right there. And I'll tell you this, I was impressed with the judge because the judge broke down in tears himself. The judge was very emotional at times. So, how about, guys, tomorrow we'll do Silvers tomorrow and talk about his stuff tomorrow and look at all that and talk about that tomorrow before we go to our members live, if that's good with y'all. We'll do that tomorrow. We'll watch the 3 parts that he put, the 2 that he put out prior, and then the larger one that he did. And And we'll definitely talk about that because that will be all Sebastian related. Because we're not going to stop with Sebastian, but we're going to keep pushing others as well because everybody else deserves it as well. Woo, I tell you, I think the judge did want that firing squad for sure. I think so. Jeff, I agree with you. I mean, you can be one with God or you can be one with Satan. And that's pretty much, I don't want to say it's the same thing, but it's basically a choice you make. It's a choice you make. And when you do evil things in life, 90% of the, I would say 99.5% of the time, it is evil. Evil that pushes you to that position. Yeah. Most normal people are disturbed by the graphic nature. Yep. Yep. But, you know, the guards know who he is at his new home. I am very sure that most of those inmates knew who he was before he ever stepped one foot in the door. And I hope he gets everything in there that he deserves. For him being such a germaphobe, I am not sure how he is going to handle life like that. But you know what? He should have thought about that before he committed those 4 horrible, horrible, disgusting unalivings and tried to get away with it. So that's on him. 100% on him. Because you can ask God to forgive you, and that's between you and God. But it doesn't take away the fact of what you did. I don't know. I have a feeling. Yeah, Bridget, not sure. Be pleased if his roommates think he has good birthing hips. Oh my goodness. I think there was panic set inside of him the moment he realized he couldn't find his sheath. I think when he went back, they had already been discovered and he started panicking because he would not be able to go and look for the sheath. And that was his undoing. Oh, thanks, Jeff. Welcome, welcome. But I do think that he stalked those kids. I believe he watched the dog. I believe he became friendly in the woods with the dog. He hid out because he knew that they took the dog out back, and the dog went to go potty. And then when the dog started going off into the woods, as everyone stated, was very unusual, sometimes would not come when called, and that was out of character. I think that was because he was out there being friends with the dog so that the dog would do what he needed the dog to do, and that was to make sure that dog went into that other bedroom. or into a bathroom or whatever it was. Wherever he was wanting to put the dog, he was going to be able to do the dog because they were friends now. That's my opinion. And I do think that that knife is at the bottom of that river. So I don't know, guys. I know this much for sure. There are evil people that walk amongst us every single day. People that hurt children, people that sell their kids into human tea. There are people who unalive others. There are people who walk in with a weapon and destroy lives as much and as many as possible at one time, and either take themselves out or wait for someone to come in and do the job. There's evil people who build bombs and plant them in different places. Look at the Boston people that did the bombs and just in a pot, in a backpack. And all people were doing were running a marathon. No, none of them deserved what was done to them. Not the children, not adults, not teenagers, not college students, not nothing. And as Olivia, Kaylee's sister, said, if you would have walked up to Maddie and to Kaylee and to Maddie, they would have been nice to you because that's who they were. They would have been polite to him because that's who they were. And it's sad to say there are people out there that would not, that would make fun of him and laugh at him and, say weird things to him that just got him triggered. And it's a crapshoot in this world. Look at the YouTube streets. Oh, this person looks like a good channel to go to. You open it up and all you hear is hate and anger. Oh, well, I'm going to go over here because they're talking about a missing kid. And you open it up and it is absolutely horrible. It's a crapshoot. But most people take the chance to figure it out for themselves. But there are those people in this world that take the chance and take that personal. And they take that personal attack that they've created in their mind, that this is only, they're only saying that because of me. And they let that fester and grow into complete evil. So, I don't know, guys. I saw evil sitting there with black eyes, straight faced, didn't winch when he was called names, just completely sat there, took every hateful word, and I honestly believe he tuned them out completely. Because if he had anything within himself that had compassion or sympathy or anything that any of us would actually have, There's no way he could have sat there without one tear falling. But people who do things like that, that's who they are inside, and it shows on the outside. And it's such a sad thing. So, guys, it's a sad thing that we cover here, and it's something I wanted to go over and talk about because I've been wanting to just finish out these kids' stories by showing who Brian Kohlberger really was. And it wasn't until I heard Ashley Banfield's podcast that she just did, that we just listened to, give everything to us in just a small section of time. There are thousands of pages that are being dropped. And to go through each and every one is a nightmare in itself. But for her to condense everything down to the main points of it all, there was hate and anger, and there was a lot of rage. A lot. There's no way around it. What is it, Lolo? Who's still looking into what? Someone did a YouTube video on it. What are we looking into? Is it something we need to check on? Look into ourselves? I'm all about deep diving. I'm all about the researching. Guys, definitely before we go, keep our Blue Eyes Jewel in your thoughts and your prayers. You know, she is going through some health issues right now, and she seriously needs our prayers. Okay. Oh, thank you, Bridget. That is so sweet of you to say. Oh, Randa, I don't think I could. I don't think I could read it. You know, and that's why I liked how she took and condensed it all down for us so we could get the broad picture of it all. Yes, definitely keep Blue Eyes in your prayer. And my best friend, her name is Teresa, tomorrow is going to be a hard day for her. So she will be on my mind all day tomorrow. That was a horrible day 5 years ago. And I appreciate y'all so much for that. Tomorrow we'll come back. We'll talk about Sebastian. We'll go over Silver's on the Scene, and we will definitely look into what he's got going on and finding and stuff. I love Silver's, what he does. He does a great job. So many people are here for Sebastian. So many people are what he does. Oh, he does a great job. Hold so many on. People are here for Sebastian. I forgot my phone was hooked to the speaker. Oh, thank you, Queen. Thank you for the prayers. I'm so glad to be back, guys. It was something I needed to do. In Jack Showalter's apartment. You know, I heard that, but if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember where I might have heard that from, but I think they did find out that it was not related to the girls, if I'm not mistaken, or the four. I may be wrong. I'm not sure. can't say for sure, but we will definitely be covering several cases. Thank you all for being here. I just needed that time. I needed to work on my health, get my heart rate back up. I couldn't stay awake long enough to even talk to you guys. Tell you what, when your heart rate drops to under 50 and stays there and you can't get it back up, you don't stay awake for long. All I could do was sleep. And when I stood up, I was very, very dizzy. But thank you all for the super chats, for the super stickers today. I appreciate y'all so much. Guys, we need to grow the channel. I want y'all to be part of that. So let's start doing some really awesome stuff. Yeah, Bo, it got down to about 48 and I couldn't get it above 50 for about almost 4 days. And then it went to about 62. Oh, yeah, CC. Evil and soulless. That's the words. Thank you, Cecilia. Appreciate that. Everybody, remember tomorrow we'll come on. I'm not sure what time because I'm going to go watch my niece's children. The youth center is closing down for a couple of weeks for this right before school starts. And I'm going to help her out a few days off and on here for the next couple of weeks. Wow, Lolly, I thought the same. Be tuned word out. Okay. So anyways, okay, good to know, Lolo. Thanks. I'll check into that for sure. Okay. Yeah. Y'all, I want y'all to come along for the ride. We're going to do some really good stuff. We're going to do our best. And you all know the money I make is just for survival, to pay my storage building so I don't lose everything I own, to have gas, to buy some Pepsi. You know, the important things in life. But hopefully it won't be much longer. I'll get to go take care of my back, go before the judge, get my disability. But I got to start doing a whole lot more with my channel to be able to just make it. Because this month ending out, I will be able to pay my storage building thanks to a beautiful soul that is on our channel. I was able to pay an extra month ahead on one of them. So I will be able to keep my storage building to current, and I'll only have just a $20 left after that. So I got to do better. I don't have PayPal. I just have, because my PayPal got hacked up and I have never been able to get it fixed right. Oh, thank you, Lolo. Like I said, every one of us come on here, we work, we make our channels, we're able to monetize them. And that's not a secret. It's not grifting. And my goal is my storage buildings. So, anyways, I thank you all for coming to see me and didn't forget about me. Like I said, want to thank everybody for checking on me while I was out. But I am doing so much better. I'm in a better place of mind even. And I'm ready to do good for people. So I thank you all for wanting to be here with me. I love y'all so much. Thank y'all for listening today. Prayers for the families as they try to learn to live without their child. And knowing all the details they do has got to be an even harder burden to carry with them. That is one thing I did not want to know about my son. I knew the jaws of life was needed, but that was enough. My son did learn those details. He asked me if I wanted to know, and I said, no, it doesn't matter. He's already gone. It's not going to help me. So, anyways, good night, Queen. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support tonight. I appreciate you so, so much. And guys, y'all be good out there on the streets. Be safe. Be vigilant. Evil walks amongst us, even on the YouTube streets. So, y'all take care of yourselves. Be on the lookout tomorrow. We'll try my best to do a live before our members live tomorrow night. But definitely, my members, y'all are going to want to hear all this tomorrow. So, try to be there. Yes, Cecilia, it's horrible. Horrible. Ugh. I tell you, it's crazy. And me doing these lives and not being on camera and everything, I can stand up. I can move and twist and turn. And that's pretty much why my camera has been off a lot lately, because I'm up and down so much. But thank you all. Love you so much. Y'all take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon. Until then, love and hugs, everybody. Good night.